I was talking like when you threatened to cancel your DirecTV.
Yeah,
Just to
it
get
works.
Oh
these-
yeah, I love that move.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
no, that's my favorite thing.
It
So
works every
Great
time
move.
too,
oh,
which is
and
crazy.
so I even have I don't do the dish anymore, but I have DirecTV now, and that's just streaming TV through the internet, the interwebs, the dark web, and I've literally threatened to cancel just online. I didn't even have to talk to anyone, and they were like, "Wait, don't go. We're gonna give you $15 a month." You know, a lifetime of HBO and, you know, as many sweet tarts as you want. I don't know if you're into them, but if you want those, you can have them. I was like, okay, make them Smarties and we have a deal.
There you go.
So you can't let them have what they want is the moral of the story here. Guys,
They need you more than we need them.
I decided to push the live button for that story. So I'm gonna do that that moment of zen right now. Welcome. This is the Fake Pigskin Open Bar. J Mike, I'm telling you, man, it feels so good to be back.
Feels so good to be back.
Bro, I'm telling you, when I was setting up the YouTube show and I said open bar, and then I started typing in the date and I literally like didn't know what month it was for a little bit. It's just been so long since we did a show, and I was like, when's the last time we did a show? Was it in May, April? I don't even know. So happy to be here in June. We made it. We made it almost halfway through the year. Really just happy to be back with you, my man. So how are you?
Appreciate that, man. Just grinding. Did you know that the NFL is totally okay with being a league where they continue to be, I don't know, non-existent for 2 months, really? Did you recognize that it's no longer like a 12-month a year thing now? Because OTAs really aren't like real news, right?
I wasn't even sure if we were in OTAs yet or in like training camp. Like I don't even know where we're at on the calendar.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure like Saquon's not even running routes or anything. I'm pretty sure he's like making pancakes for
for
Sherman.
IHOB.
No, for Sherman. Yes.
For IHOB.
For IHOB.
Right.
Because being the International House of Pancakes is not
Pancake
enough.
buns.
You must you must jump into the burger game because apparently we don't have enough of that.
Come on, Saquon, eat them burgers, boy.
Real quick though, when you saw that it was IHOB, what was your first thought that the B was going to be before they announced burgers? Stop. Never mind. Look, man, don't get us fired, man.
No, the International House of Barclays. That's all.
I was thinking International House of Breakfast, but then it didn't happen.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
okay. I guess you're being way too logical about this. But
apparently, burgers.
Man, so this is the open bar. We're here live every Tuesday at 9:30 Eastern. Forgot about daylight saving that happens in June, so we decided to go a little bit later, start earlier than the projected hour forward. That whole process. Not sure where I'm going with that, but just I'm excited to be back. It's summer break. I'm bro tanking hard. We're live on YouTube, so if you decide to watch or listen in podcast form, thank you. But I am beautifully farmer tanned out right now. So join us live. Yes, we have those. We have an executive producer to this show. If you don't know his name already, it's Jake.
What's up, guys? How we doing tonight? Just that. We'll see how it goes. Don't want to judge it too fast.
Yeah, I mean, you know
fair.
how it goes when we get you on here, Jake. We just don't know how the show is going to end
That's
up.
very true.
Happy
to
to
be
see
here.
you again, my man.
Happy to be here, guys.
You have started a new venture recently.
Yeah, I started a new podcast. It's called The Dynasty Crossroads with my man Peter Howard, P.A. Howdy on Twitter.
I've heard of it.
Where we are discussing dynasty football through both an analytical and film perspective, kind of a play on the Film Metrics podcast of old with Nick Whalen and George Kirikos. So we're kind of rebuilding that podcast form. So yeah, super excited about it. We've recorded 3 episodes. We've released 1, and we'll be releasing our second on Calvin Ridley sometime this week. You can check it out on iTunes, all the podcast places.
I'm not old enough to remember Filmetrics, so I think this is the first time I've actually ever seen this format. So I'll just let you take credit.
Yeah, I think Nick and George would be fine with that. Yeah, Nick and George would be fine with that. We created the idea. It's never been thought of before. So
never been done.
Thank you. Appreciate
it. I like it. Let's roll with this. Yeah.
Organic, non-GMO.
Yeah.
We have 2 other guests, new guests to the open bar venue. I believe one has kind of tuned in, vibed with us a little bit. Kev, the FF engineer. How are you doing tonight, my man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I've enjoyed the podcast. Really fun watching you guys live. I think you had the Dynasty Dummy kind of crossover episode. That was really fun, really cool. You had like 8 guys going, vibing, just having fun talking fantasy football. That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, I don't even remember what happened on that episode.
Guys mocked for 4 hours.
Yeah.
I literally watched it.
It felt like a fantasy football bachelor party or something.
The ultimate crossover is what that was. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Couldn't stop watching it.
Yeah. And Russell J. Clay.
That's right.
Least favorite character on Friends. favorite Russell in the FF community, though. So you've got that. How are you doing, brother?
I'm awesome, man. We're in the old bed here, so we'll see how this goes. Hopefully things don't get too crazy.
Yeah, tell us more about that, Russell.
Well, I mean, okay. I was going to
no. Cut the crap, Russell. Pants or no pants? Pants or no pants?
Tell us.
We'll see that's a little, sneak peek. We'll save that for like a half hour in. So then, people gotta listen. But I'm moving in like a few days. So I don't have anything other than like my bed. And truthfully, there's not even a sheet on the bed. It's just my mattress cover and me. And so that's how we're going to do things tonight.
Okay.
Duvet
or nah? Duvet or nah?
Duvet?
Yeah.
I'm going to say nah.
Russ doesn't even know what that is.
It started. I think that. Very good.
I don't know what it is. No way I have it.
He saw the screen
as he's sitting on it right now. I do not call this thing that.
Right. Kind of like how we describe our podcast. We do not call this thing that.
Fact.
What should we talk about? Has football happened yet? We talked a little bit about OTAs. Seems like every player either wants to sit out or get a contract extension of sorts. What's happening? What's going on with the NFL, fellas?
I think somewhat Julio has a double thing going on where he sees these walk-ins getting 16 million and maybe he wants some of that too. But also looking at Julio's contract, he doesn't have much guaranteed left in his deal. So I think part of his reasoning is probably that he wants to get more secured money up front rather than, if that foot acts up, he probably wants some guaranteed money.
Pay the mayor. Pay that man.
Yeah, but Calvin Ridley, right? Right, J. Mike?
I mean, that's your boy, right? I'm pretty sure you in a mock draft we were in yesterday, I'm pretty sure you chose him. Is that correct?
No. All right, y'all have fun on this show tonight. I'm out.
in case that podcast, for whatever reason, never makes it to light, this one will totally out you. That's your boy now.
So, and also I think the biggest news so far is Hunter Henry, just destroying our dreams before it even starts. And what the Chargers do with that passing game now that, he's gone.
I think that makes Kevin smile because I know Kevin's a big T Will fan.
Yeah, so is that a Tyrell thing or a Mike Will thing? What's
Mike Will?
Okay,
definitely Mike Will for me. I mean, I love Mike Williams.
I thought you were a big Terrell fan.
No.
Nope.
He is House Mike versus House Terrell.
It's Mike,
Mike Williams. Get those Williams confused.
I did a profile for Dynasty Football on Mike Williams last year, 1,500 words ish thing. I really liked his game.
What are his prospects for this season?
So I think, last year there was so many people saying he had a career-ending injury that I think even if he just does 60 catches for 850, that would be a great quote-unquote rookie season. Last year, give him a mulligan, but I mean, if he has somewhat of a productive season, I think it'll show something that he'll just at least get back on the radar. We've grown impatient with rookie wide receivers.
I agree.
Yeah.
Very much so. We definitely want that 2014 class every year. And it's just not realistic at all. So it is okay to catch these guys. But so we were talking about that on the Fantasy 40 with J Mike about how all these running backs are going like 8 in a row, and you might throw in a DJ Moore or Cortland Sutton. I mean, is it fair to put these guys outside of the running backs just because they won't produce right away? Or is that just naturally how it should kind of be with wide receivers? Because, on average, you do just have to wait for 2-3 years.
I think in Dynasty, there's a little bit of overcorrection here, and kind of like what we saw with running backs a few years ago, where DJ Moore is a pretty nice prospect that went in the first round. So it's tough because there's so few running backs that are like truly in featured positions that if you feel like you can get one in your rookie draft, you do. But I'm kind of looking at Ridley and Moore as like guys we're going to look back from a year from now and be like, that was a major value,
Right. Taking guys like Freeman over him.
Yeah,
you're a big Freeman guy though, right, Russ?
So, and that's the thing. It's like I love Royce Freeman, but at the same time, long term in a dynasty, I mean, Ridley and Moore are going to have so much opportunity to succeed. And I think all these first round wide receivers busting the last few years has kind of given us all the oh crap! Like I don't want to deal with Kevin White again.
Just give me something in our rookie season.
Right? Something. Just play. Can you please play? Just play the games. I don't care.
Play.
Just be in. Drafted Kevin White in like the third round of a startup, and it's like he's played like 2 games, I think.
Yeah, it's weird because we've built this kind of dynamic of build around your wide receivers, your young wide receivers. And like people were literally taking like Kevin White in their third round, Devontae Parker in their second or third round. And I mean, like they're sitting here 5 years later, like, look at me now. But
I'm hitting waivers.
The difficult part about that is that everyone's 2014 proved that wasn't such a joke, So you got people that hit it big on that one season with that philosophy that is just carrying them, that they can't change the way they look at the 16 class or the 17 class because they made so much headway and money off of that rookie class hitting so immediately. But something I'll run by you guys is I think it's interesting to talk about in this format is we like shorter windows in Dynasty. I think the more as I've evolved, I used to be 5-year windows. Now I'm going down to 3 years, and it kind of twists me in a pretzel because I love wide receivers just as anybody that's done Dynasty the last 5 years. But something that kind of occurs to me is that I'm talking 2 sides that are out of my mouth because I want to win now, and running backs produce earlier. So shouldn't I always been on running backs to produce early, to win now, and not wait for the incubation period for these wide receivers to develop? So I even battle this within my own philosophy, because I do like those wide receivers to last longer, but then I catch myself, is this really how I feel? So what do you guys take on that?
Yeah, you stole the words right out of my mouth, Kevin. I was going to say the same thing. Is I know when I first started Dynasty, which wasn't all that long ago, it was all about trying to build that team that was going to last forever, that's going to be dominant, that sexy roster team. And the more I play, the more year to year I tend to get with my roster construction, and certainly much more win now teams, and it's so much harder to punt. So with all the talk about running backs not lasting all that long, if we truly are living in a 2 to 3 year window, should we not be valuing these running backs as high as we are now, or have we been making mistakes in the past for not doing that?
Or so maybe just the idea. Sorry, Kev. I was just going to say real quick, just the idea that you have to be active in these leagues too, in your own league. I mean, you can draft however you see fit. Scooping these running backs later, flip them for the dude in your future or whatever, scoop these running backs early. If you see that 2 to 3 window, whatever, get them for a guy that you're capitalize. These dynasty leagues all about timing. Like Devontae Parker's been fluctuating around 4 to 8 forever. Is this the time to scoop him up and buy him before he's like a 2nd round pick? I don't know. But yeah, timing related for sure.
I think that's really interesting too, as it pertains to when we're looking at these values. If we take a step back and literally just look at last season, just as a microcosm of exactly what you're talking about, Kevin. Last season, we see, what was it? The 3 wide receivers go there in the first round. So we've got Corey Davis, Mike Williams, John Ross, none of which do anything last season. But then all of a sudden, this year comes around, and the value for Mike Williams and John Ross couldn't be further below what it was last season. Everyone still loves Corey Davis. But let's take a look at those running backs from last year. Okay, just about everyone hits except for a guy like Joe Mixon, who basically doesn't do much. And right now, like, you are hard pressed to get him from anyone in any league right now. So it's kind of plays into a lot of, I know what the Dynasty Trade Dynasty Trade Calculator guys were talking about in regards to just the running backs holding value. And I know that there's a lot more detail to it than just that, but it was really interesting how Izzy was pointing out just how running backs are more likely to hold value even when they don't do anything versus wide receivers. So, well, I mean, we're already throwing John Ross in the trash.
I think that depends on the class.
Mike, I'm looking at ADP now. Look, Mike Williams and Marlon Mack are right next door to each other, which is absolutely fascinating. Because I mean, Mike Williams was like your either 5 or 6 guy, depending on how you felt about him. Mack was a late first, maybe even early second. And what did Mack kind of provide for you to make it so he either did not fluctuate or moved up? Like, yeah, he's kind of the, in quotes, guy now, but like they drafted 2 running backs as well. I don't think that starting running back is on that team for 2019. So, I mean, yeah, it's crazy what the respect that running backs are getting.
So I think the Ross and Williams ADPs this summer are way over correction for what we've gone through in the previous few classes. I think people saw injuries and just assumed they're all Brashad Perriman. I think that's wrong. I think, giving up on Ross and Williams now is not, the right process, even though it's kind of worked out the last few years. But, I think of running backs, and I think the insulation the insulated ADP is a really good argument to take them. Because I think back to like a guy like Monty Ball, who obviously he never really did anything. But by year 2, I mean, he was like a 2nd round, he had a 2nd round startup ADP, or, Michael LaShore, he was like a 4th or 5th round startup guy in his 2nd and 3rd year. And, I guess that's a pretty good argument for running back, but man, I look at these wide receivers this year and think that's pretty darn good values for them,
I think the
at what point do you give up? You know, are you even like getting a value at that point? I mean, like literally left Laquan Treadwell out to dry, and
I know.
Well,
I don't even. That's
the thing
an understatement, really. I mean, my goodness.
That's the thing I don't understand is people that say those guys are sells right now. You know, like, oh, I'm selling John Ross, I'm selling Laquan Treadwell. Why would you be selling them right now at basically their lowest possible value? If anything, they're a hold or a buy. They're absolutely not a sell at this point.
Sell. I don't know if you can even label it a sell. That's like selling pennies. You know? I literally DLF staff mock for June just finished. I took him 19th or 20th round.
Who's that?
Laquan Treadwell.
Yeah. And he's 22, 23 years old.
I mean, it's just dead. I mean, you know, this has been my philosophy with I always trade away my rookie picks, wait 3 years, and then I buy Devontae Adams right before he breaks out for free. I mean, you can buy like 6 of these guys. If you punt your rookie draft, theoretically you have 3 to 5 roster spots that you can fill in with either waiver wire or flyers. I love filling my roster with guys like Treadwell, Mike Williams, all this pedigree that's building up in your roster that can, you know, I think it's me and Jacob Rickroad. We like this term incubation period, where I like these youth chasers to pay that first round rookie price, incubate the talent for 2 to 3 years, and then I come in, swoop in, buying cheap, and they've paid for all that, you know, incubation, right? And then, you know, I get them at pennies on the dollar.
That's so funny you say that. Just looking at ADP here on DLF, June ADP. Golly, this is awful. So wide receiver. Anyone want to guess what wide receiver Mike Williams is on ADP?
Probably like
I haven't looked
low 40s.
50.
ADP?
I mean,
yes, ADP.
I won't say because I already looked.
Okay.
Well, I guess I don't know what ADP you're looking.
You're
probably looking at DLF.
I'd ballpark it at 50.
He's actually at 39. What about John Ross?
John Ross, he's got to be in the 50s.
I hope he's lower.
64.
Wow.
64. Behind
top 10 pick, John Ross.
Really good.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. He's behind Kelvin Benjamin.
Are we talking about this year or last?
No, I'm looking at Jude DLF ADP right now. Right now.
And that's what I'm saying, man.
He is 64. He's 64th. Oh my gosh. I'm like, just like you said, Kevin, like if you could, like you said, if you can steal him from a roster, oh my gosh, do it. The man's 22 years old. Oh, I cannot believe that. Wide receiver.
So say he turns into like Ted Ginn, right? That's kind of what like if I'd say range outcomes wise, like Ted Ginn seems like a pretty fair, you know, for him. Even like worth, you know, wide receiver 64 or whatever.
We're talking 3rd round rookie pick, which has a hit rate of about 10%.
Yeah.
So I mean, even your range of outcomes you're talking about, buy him for a 3rd round pick. Cut him next year if he doesn't pan out. But with that pedigree, you know, if you just look at the possibility of a 3rd round pick hitting and the pedigree that 3rd round pick is going to have, I'll trade that away in a second.
I think people are writing John Ross off just because, like, oh, he broke the 40 record. Like, he was way overdrafted. And he was overdrafted, but I also think he was a really good wide receiver on tape at Washington. He was not just a 9-route guy. He could run routes. He had really good releases from the line. He was really effective in the red zone for a smaller wide receiver. I like this tape quite a bit, and I think just because whatever reasons happened last year, and I don't think you can underplay the Marvin Lewis factor there. I think people are writing him off as just like a speed threat.
Well, you know, the add-in he had, you know, people in Dynasty, we hate injuries. we'd rather throw the baby out with the bathwater. He had both knees operated on. I mean, really bad, right? I think he tore one left knee. Maybe Russ remembers this, but I think he tore one knee, overcompensated, came back too early, and then popped the other knee
at Washington.
Yeah, in college. So then it was like he had 2 knee injuries coming into the NFL, and then the questionable history. I think that immediately dropped him down from a fantasy standpoint, even if the Bengals didn't.
I mean, that was my biggest concern with John Ross was his health, his injury history. But then when an NFL team takes him in the top 10, that has to make you think that, his health must be at least okay. So that's when I bought back in. Not that I love the landing spot, not that I didn't think he was overdrafted, but I like the player on tape and capital talk. So
maybe we should talk to John Bosch about this.
Think about narrative, right? I'm going to tell you 2 scenarios, but both true. John Ross had both surgery on both knees, torn ACL, period. That's really bad. People will avoid at all costs just hearing that. But there was a story that I read about how he came back too early, overcompensated, and popped the other knee. Now that's kind of like those 2 injuries are tied together now, because if he didn't pop one knee, he probably wouldn't have popped the other.
God, this makes me. I hate that popping a knee, man. Guys have knee problems. I'm like getting squeamish.
Whoa! You start visualizing yourself playing basketball and just the worst things happening.
So he's just gonna roll in bed funny, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh!
Oh no! Where'd my pants go?
Don't.
That duvet would have saved you.
Exactly. Exactly. Duvet would have saved you. That's wild. Can we run back?
To interrupt.
Can we run back to the Chargers just for a second? I found it super interesting. Kevin, I know that you are a Keenan Allen truther like myself. When it comes to the targets last season for the Chargers, and if you already know the answer, don't ruin it for everyone else. So Keenan Allen led the team with 159 targets. Do you guys know who was second on the team in targets?
I got a good guess.
Okay.
I think it's Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon would be my guess.
Either that or
I was going to say Travis Benjamin.
Oh gosh,
no way.
Melvin Gordon with 83 targets.
Gordon.
Do you guys have a guess who was third in targets?
Either Tyrell or Hunter.
Tyrell, yeah.
Pick your poison. Who you got?
I think it
Hunter. I'd guess Hunter.
Was it Hunter?
Tyrell with 69.
Yeah.
Nice.
The wide receiver 2 for the Chargers only had 69 targets.
Yeah.
I don't know if that means that, hey, Keenan's going to come back to earth and there's like room for opportunity for somebody to step up. But that almost makes me a little squeamish thinking about Mike Williams and what could be. Like, obviously, I hope for better, but I just find that super interesting.
See, I didn't like this argument last year.
For Melvin is a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't like this argument last year that somehow Rivers' past volume numbers were going to stay. So, I mean, there's always room to grow. If you have an explosive offense, they'll throw Rivers on every play. I mean, they don't care. Things can grow. Things can progress. I don't have any issue with that.
They were eighth in the league in attempts. Just throwing it out there. So
2 years ago, Flacco was number 1. Did he deserve to be? I mean, I don't have any issue with an increase of the number 2 wide receiver getting more targets.
Mm-hmm. You would think those attempts might go down with that defense only getting better this offseason. That defense could be top 5.
It's going to be sick. Bosa and Ingram off the edge. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
Those DGs too, though.
It's good.
Thinking back to Phillip Rivers and sort of his career, he's always been kind of that, I remember Malcolm Floyd, and that's kind of how I see them using Mike Williams. I feel like there's a lot of debate on how he'll be used, and well, not much debate, just me and most people probably think he's a slot. Me just arguing with myself, but I mean, he was pretty good at Clemson at going up and getting the, in tight coverage and beating guys deep. I feel like if they try to start using him, deep again, like he can have some really efficient target potential. You know what I mean? No?
Yes.
Okay.
I said my piece. I think for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you lose Gates, you lose Hunter Henry. There's going to be some red zone targets there as well, and that's Mike Williams to a T there.
Mm-hmm.
Wheels up in San Diego or Los Angeles.
A low yardage total and just amassing like 8 to 10 touchdowns.
So the first half of the year they had very difficult schedule. I think they played the Broncos twice, so that's going to limit the number of pass attempts right there alone. Looking real quick, from week 8 to week 16, Keenan Allen had 79 targets. But then Benjamin had 35, Tyrell had 35, Gordon had 33, Hunter Henry had 32. So you consolidate Tyrell Williams and Travis Benjamin. That's 70 targets for the quote-unquote second receiver. Only in the second half of the year. So the volume's there.
Mike Williams or Jamison Crowder?
Mike Williams, higher ceiling.
See, I go Williams too.
And you're not paying as much. I mean, you got to normalize for price. Crowder's going to cost you more. I take Mike Williams plus.
Mike Williams, Michael Crabtree.
Mike Williams.
Williams, yeah.
Interesting. Mike Williams, Julian Edelman.
Williams.
Yeah.
Mike Williams.
And that's two Boston guys.
Guys that you're saying, J. Mike, like could legitimately Mike Williams could finish ahead of all of these guys. I mean, Crabtree's fine, but like what is his ceiling in an offense in Baltimore, with other targets that he has to compete with, and I mean, maybe not legitimate targets, but there are. Right. And Joe Flacco just doesn't produce wide receiver one. So he's really only looking at a ceiling of top 20. And who was the other? Edelman. I mean, is it Hogan, Gronk? I mean, he's going to spread the ball around. Edelman's 32. So, I mean, even just like this first year, like Mike Williams could really outproduce these guys. And then obviously, he's a young dude. So dynasty and beyond, I think he's great.
Let me give you a few more names. Mike Williams, Nelson Aguilar.
Ooh.
I don't care about Aguilar. So
I don't know, man. That's tough. Tough to take Williams over like a young dude coming up in the season.
Yeah, I agree. But again, not the same price.
Right.
Aguilar is going to be a lot more.
I'm just curious who you'd rather have on your team.
Mike Williams.
Don't care about Aguilar. Williams too. As a guy that loves upside, I think I might take Williams there.
Come on, Kevin.
You got me here.
I'm not letting you out of this.
Kevin likes
me freeze up. The reason I'm freezing up is because I always think of price, and if you're telling me that I can get Aguilar at Mike Williams' cost, then I'll take both.
Realistically, I want both.
Realistically, yeah, I want both. I'm not going to choose either or.
I'll take Aguilar there, but just. If I knew Williams was going to be healthy the next few years, I'd take Williams. It's just he does have that injury thing now. So
yeah, there's a guy with back issues that does scare me.
Yeah, talent-wise, I'll take Williams though.
Last one, Mike Williams, Sterling Shepard.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Kev, this is
Mike Williams. For me, it'd be easy. Mike Williams. Not that I don't like Shepard, but I had them both last year. I mean, I had Mike Williams higher than Shepard last year, and I won't change it after 1 year.
And you just invested a nice price tag in Shepard, right?
I paid 107. which I thought was low, reasonable. He was a top 5 pick a year ago, and I know what he is now.
What do you think, Russ?
I'll take Williams over Shepard.
Okay. Interesting. I think I agree with you guys. I like Mike Williams quite a bit too. Russ, I saw something on Twitter that we have to address. I wanted to do this before the show because I didn't want to necessarily put you on blast. Yeah. So Gabe was gonna guess what he thought I was gonna be asking you about.
Nope,
you're not. I don't guess. Okay.
No. I thought it was basketball related, and so no.
No. Okay. Wonderful. Russell, when I take a look at your Twitter bio, it is telling me that your born date, your entry date, your
into this world,
your coming out party, if you will.
I was brought into this world.
Shout out to Mrs. Clay.
Mama Clay, what up?
This is going different than I expected.
11/7.
Congratulated his mom on sex. I mean,
November 7th, 1989.
Unbelievable. I'm also November 7th.
Yeah.
So I saw that and I was just like, "There's no way."
It's a good month, man.
It's a great month.
Even better show day. Now, what's the sign?
Scorpios, baby.
Scorpios.
Okay.
Stinging. We're just coming through stinging.
Yeah, that's right.
Watch my stinger game. Stinging you, Scorpio. Stinging.
Okay.
There's no coming back after that.
No, we're having a moment.
Shut it down.
Can you guys feel this right now? We're having like a moment. We're having like
the three of us are gonna leave.
Yeah, we can leave.
I ain't leaving. I'm staying to watch.
You can sting your way out of here, Jake. Stinging party. Gabe, I think we have the title for tonight's show.
Yeah, I think we've reached
Stinging party.
Stinging party. That's gonna come off completely wrong.
Stingers only.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
That's stung.
It is the NFL offseason, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is.
It is. The dark times are coming, guys. Dark days are ahead.
Gabe, I don't want to try to dominate discussion, but I've got one more thing I definitely want to talk about.
Why not?
I don't know.
I didn't ask Russell.
Russ, my man.
Listen, bro.
I already know what you're gonna say, bro. We're on the same page.
So obviously, we're looking at. I don't know if you guys saw this, but a jury ordered, according to NFL.com, a jury orders that the Rams have to pay Reggie Bush $12.5 million for the injury that he suffered back in 2015. Did you guys see that?
No.
Yeah, I just read that.
Concrete.
Is that when he slept on the tarp?
Yes. Yeah. So essentially, they're saying that the Rams have to pay him basically $4.9 million in compensatory damages and $7.5 million in punitive damages because of that fall. So one of the things that I love looking at, because I remember when Reggie Bush was coming out, I thought that basically he was just going to be God's gift to football at the time. And injuries kind of derailed that to a large degree. But I don't know if you guys remember Reggie Bush's rookie year numbers and how absurd his target numbers were. Do you guys have any idea what that?
120 targets.
Yeah, he had like.
It was something crazy.
I think he had like 88.
I mean, Reggie Bush was amazing. Reggie Bush.
You remember how good of a runner he was with the
He was
Lions
absurd. He was absurd. He had 121 targets as a rookie.
Yeah.
And he only started 8 games.
Yeah.
He started 8 games and got 121 targets. That's crazy. The next season, he had 98 targets. But I guess I say all that to say this. Hashtag never say Quan. I'll bring this around.
Wait a minute. Are there 2 Saquons in the NFL?
Is there any chance that Saquon is not the most amazing gift to football that we think he is? Is it possible?
That reminds me of when the DTC guys were reading the Reggie Bush scouting report, and they're like,
"Oh yeah,
does that sound? How's that sound?" They're like, "Oh yeah, that sounds just like Barkley. That's a good scouting report." And then they're like, "Oh, that's Reggie Bush's scouting report."
plot twist. Yeah,
really similar.
Wow.
So I'd say in terms of like overall prospects, they're pretty similar. Just the problem with like making any case against Barkley is Reggie Bush was 200 pounds. This dude is 235.
And he's
just
every bit as
like
athletic.
he is built like
he's a brick.
mythical, like, you know. I mean, if he busts, it'll be because of injuries, and anybody can bust. The 230 plus pound guys seem pretty insulated, at least for a few years. But yeah, Bush is a good example of a guy who, I mean, he was supposed to take over the league, pretty much.
Well, I mean, T-Rich, Sankey. I mean, there's a couple of examples.
T-Rich. Yeah.
So
Monte Ball.
I've changed a little bit on this over the time.
Monte Ball.
It
was well, you said Sankey and Monte Ball. I mean, Monte Ball was a higher draft pick than Sankey.
Yeah, you guys disgust me.
Sankey was like a 102, wasn't he? His rookie season.
Yeah, he was high, man.
He was like consensus 101.
Yeah, he was high.
So I've changed my opinion on this over the years.
I don't know what we're doing.
Go ahead, Kevin.
So over the years, I've changed my thought on this. Is that maybe 4 or 5, whatever years ago, I used to be adamant, no way I'm going to pay a premium price for an unknown commodity. Just wasn't going to happen. But then guys like Odell Beckham hit and Zeke hit, and I started just to appreciate that this is the cost that you pay up front. Last year I tweeted this long rant about we all pay for risks. I paid the risk for paying premium on Keenan Allen last year that I thought he was going to hit. Some people pay the premium on these early rookies. So I'm not going to fault for anybody the way they want to go. Some people get very enamored with this, the aura that is Barkley, and they want to go all in and they want to be there when it hits. More power to you is what I would say, and not that pump the brakes necessarily.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I mean, Barkley.
Ronald Jones weighs more than Reggie Bush.
Turn up.
Yeah.
Hey, did you listen to the Dino Blueprint this week, T. Mike?
I did. You talk about endorsements. You talk about ringing endorsements.
Adam Spinks loves Ronald Jones.
Does he?
Yeah, but listen, Adam is a Texas boy, and Ronald Jones is a Texas boy.
Yeah,
I sense this amount of bias there, even though I think Adam is like
how
of the best
dare you
out there.
How dare you bring into question the esteem, the level-headedness, the professionalism
of
ERB Scout?
Well, we all fall under some bias here. Let's not.
Have you no shame?
That. Yeah, I do not.
Jacob, I can't believe it. Right.
Listen, Adam is one of my favorite guys in the community, so I'm not slamming him. But just to be 100% here, I did sense just a tiny bit of bias there. Just because he's from his hometown area.
I mean, calling out Adam, is that what you're saying?
No. I'm not here trying to do
that. That's all right. I'll go and quote.
Yeah. We got a new title for the show, fellas.
Yeah. All right. Friend of the show.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's going to be on the front page of Twitter.
Listen, I don't think Adam would take it this way either.
But good luck with the damage control, Jake.
Yeah.
I think Ronald Jones
is your job here, Jake. Just saying.
Ronald Jones is an interesting guy to evaluate, because I think what happens with guys like this is that certain people who fall in love with that player, it's because they diminish the critiques and how much they value the knocks against his game. If some people say, oh yes, these skinny legs, or doesn't have the 40 speed, but then in the blueprints, Adam made a good point about he ran it on a pulled hamstring.
Oh, he's not a 4 or 5 type of speed running back.
It's just interesting which one you pull.
He's faster than 4 or 5.
Oh, he's like a 4.3.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure you weren't slandering him. I was about to get.
Listen, I'm not slandering him at all.
I was just making sure we were on the same page, Jeff.
Yeah, you're slandering Adam.
Yes, I'm slandering Adam, not Ronald Jones.
Right.
Yes.
But you can see when the difference of opinions come in, because some people are looking at the pure 40 speed that he put down once he ran it on a pulled hamstring. But then the film guys are going to say, no, he's much faster than that speed, and they explain it away. This creates that inequity of that evaluation. Should be a late first, should be an early first.
Yeah, give us the game speed, and we won't get that really until we hit the NFL. But interested to see how really a lot of these guys shape up, because I mean, none of them were necessarily busts at the combine as far as these running backs. We were all kind of somewhat satisfied in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. So let's see how they look on the field.
Who's the first round running back that you guys will not own any shares of?
Ronald Jones, the second.
Royce Freeman.
I'm grabbing all of them, man. I'm not discriminating in this running back class.
Kerryon Johnson is the running back I am not going to own.
So that's my initial take, and then you see him fall to 112, and you're like, well, I could use an RB4.
I think it's
Calvin Ridley over Kerryon.
He's at the end of a tier. It's easy. I mean, pick someone hard. I'll say Chubb.
Ooh.
Chubb in Cleveland, I will not.
I love Chubb.
Look, Kevin, calm down. We bring you on the open bar. Have your fun and stuff, but Kevin.
Roll.
You did not read the show sheet. It said no Chubb slander and no pants.
Lubba,
2 rules.
Lubba, Chubb. Okay. No, that's a decent take.
It's honestly true. And I love Chubb too. And I recently took Michelle over him in an auction, and that was before the Duke Johnson news. And I'm kind of happy that I did after the fact. It doesn't mean I don't like the player, but Kevin's got a point there with the situation. I mean, I was hoping that Duke would be gone. He was not happy. He had some animosity towards the organization. And then they lock him up to a long-term deal. I think that certainly hurts his ability to catch more than 20 catches, 20 passes in the season. So it tops him out a little bit.
If you think about it, it's worse than a Derrick Henry situation when Henry got added to the Titans, because he had Murray, but now you add in Landry's going to get targets. Josh Gordon's going to get targets. Njoku deserves targets. You got Johnson deserves targets. And Hyde, I think, was RB 6 to 8 range in RB targets last year. So
he was so bad with those targets last year.
It's still volume. It deserved to get him or not. I don't know what he did with him, but it's still just a bad offense with a lot of guys traditionally getting the ball. And what's the rush to bring Chubb in? I don't see it.
And you almost, the way you're talking about it now, it almost seems kind of this year though, to a degree. I understand Landry and Njoku and Duke Johnson are locked up, but we don't really know much about Josh Gordon, and we probably would imagine that Hyde is gone after this year. And we don't know what the offense is going to look like with Mayfield. And is he going to disperse the ball and end up hucking it 500 times? I don't know. That'd be pretty neat. But I don't know. It seems a little just that the Browns have been bad a long time, and that's completely fair. But like beyond 2018, what do y'all think of Chubb? What do you think of Chubb, Kev?
On per talent basis, yeah, he deserves to be top 3, 4 in the class for sure. It's just that opportunity I don't have any faith in.
Sure.
Yeah, he's going to be a good target guy, early on in the season after like the first 4 to 6 weeks. If Hyde is getting some carries there, if I think if like Freeman or Carry-On is having a decent start to the season, that might be a decent flip opportunity there.
Interesting. What were you about to say, Russ?
I guess so. I kind of look at running backs like how many touches, what's their floor projection, for the season, and what type of touches is he going to get in these first few years? And this year, it's not looking great, but I mean, it's really about Hyde for me. I'm not fading Chubb. I'm actually, I have a rookie draft coming up a little later in the year, and I'm interested to see where he falls in the super flex because, I mean, if he gets into that 1.8, 1.9 range, like he might now that Duke Johnson is signed. Like if he does, I'm going to be in, but I think like Kev's saying, if you're looking at him at like 1.3 or 1.4 right now, like I'm doing that now. These guys in this class, 2019 is not going to be, and we basically just got, 2018 stole like 3 of 2019's running, like top running backs. Like Kirian's 20. All these guys are young, so it's like I'm just not counting the running backs from next year, and I just want to get them all this year. And next year, I'm going to focus on receiver, basically. But we'll see.
That's the time to do it. This next year is not a great running back class outside of David Montgomery.
Right.
You know what, Jake, man?
Don't give me the David Harris talk. Don't.
This might be the end of us.
I just took Noah Fant.
He's not a Scorpio anyways.
And a Debbie draft. Just for you, J. Mike.
Oh my gosh! You said there's no other running back besides David Montgomery. Oh,
wait, is he a Scorpio, bro?
He's no Montgomery, a Scorpio. We need to know.
He's no Scorpio, bro.
Is he a Scorpio?
Oh my gosh!
All right.
So something with Hyde, I don't think he's gone next year necessarily. I mean, Browns don't need to save cap space. They would just get rid of him to get rid of him. He would have to be historically bad. I mean, he would just have to they would just want him off the team.
Is there any chance that he gets, if a team loses a running back, that he gets traded, early on or before the season?
There's too many running backs. Who's going to trade for a running back?
Well, if someone goes down.
So think of that scenario. The only way he's tradable is if he's really good. If he's really good, the Browns are going to play him. They're not going to trade him. If he starts to do bad, teams will wait for him to just get cut. They wouldn't train for him doing bad. So there's no dynamic there. I kind of gave this up years ago. We used to debate this about Randall Cobb. No way the Packers could re-sign him. This isn't going to happen. He's going to be off the team. We were all like had him on the Raiders, and there was like an off-season debate that Cobb was gone off the Packers, and then he re-signed, and it was this huge deflation of what's the next thing to talk about? And we just don't know, and I wouldn't assume that Hyde's gone.
Well,
it's just a cluster. It's a total cluster.
Russell, your Wi-Fi is horrible. Take your pants back off.
Oh, am I better now?
Yeah.
Better?
No.
All right. Oh.
No, yeah.
That's so awful.
This has been a great episode of the Open Bar on Fake pigs. J Mike, is there a chat? You mentioned to me before that there's a YouTube chat. Is this true?
Yeah, 54 minutes in, and I haven't mentioned the chat once, and I apologize. Yeah, incredibly rude of me. My apologies, everyone. So shout out to everyone. Yeah, crazy how time flies. So shout out to everyone in the chat. The homie Kenny Pops in the building. We've got Stephanie's in here. Zach from the Dynasty Dummies just dropped in after they just finished recording. And Peter Howard, Peter, Jake's running mate on the Dynasty Crossroads, is also in the building. So we're just talking about your randomness right now. And one interesting thing that was said, Zach brought up the fact that everyone who kept saying Chubb can be a 3-down back failed to take into account how unimaginative NFL coaches are. That was a lot of fun on that front. Quick question on Cleveland, and then we can try to move the ball away. Like the influx of talent in Cleveland versus just about anything that they've had since I don't know when, maybe before they left and came back. Is there anything that we can take hope in with this Cleveland team? Like what gives us any kind of confidence that this iteration of the Browns will actually be worthwhile, specifically for fantasy? And shout out to Kenny. He said hope with Haley.
Yeah, I think it's the combination of the new offensive coordinator and just the abundance of talent there. I mean, with that amount of talent, if this Cleveland offense can't hit the ground running and do some impressive things this year, then there's definitely some concern there. But I think Todd Haley taking over play calling is certainly going to help. It can't hurt things. And who knows, maybe it's the curse of the Hugh until he gets out of there and they bring in a real head coach. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, they are letting Haley run the plays, though, too, which was a huge issue, I think, with the Hugh. A huge. Okay. Yeah.
Good effort.
Yeah. Don't ever let me speak again.
I will not.
Okay.
Mental note.
An update: Damian Harris not a Scorpio, so I'm out.
Sorry, serious.
Well,
nothing's going right tonight. So Haley's had Le'Veon Bell for a long time. I don't think there is an equivalent on the Cleveland Browns right now, between the three running backs that they have. So you kind of have to look deeper as far as what he has had, but I think it was a little bit easier for him to just kind of throw in Bell and run plays. I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess I'm just asking, like, what it's just even more difficult to like figure out what the hell they're going to do in the backfield, because it was just so easy the past 5 years. Like, hey, Lev Bell, got it. And now we have these three, solid running backs that we kind of all like and are all worth first round picks, really. And you don't know what their production is going to look like. And even if they're worth first round picks by the end of the season. So
Gabe, who are you throwing your dart at? Like, and Kevin, this kind of brings in that value discussion that you were talking about earlier. If we're throwing our darts and we're saying, hey, I'm gonna plant my flag with this running back on that team, who are we going with?
For this season only?
No, going forward.
No, it's absolutely Chubb.
I hate to say this, but it's Hyde. He's the lowest cost and the highest upside, because I should say the delta between the price and what he can be that's the greatest gain. Chubb, you're paying a premium, but he can only meet that premium. He's not going to outdo that premium. So for me, my dart throw would be at Hyde and see what happens. And this is something I do often, is I actually play into the variance.
Contrarian Kev popping his head out.
I mean, Hyde isn't old by any means either. I mean, 26. Whether he stays on the Browns this year and next, or traded, released, whatever, to a team that needs a running back. I mean, could very well have 2-3 years, and he's certainly the cheapest. That's for sure. It's just kind of, do you believe in the Browns offense enough to think that Chubb can, assist in turning it around? I don't know. And do you think Hyde is the safest? Do you think Duke is the safest? Like, who's kind of the safest pick
of the running backs? Duke.
Yeah.
Duke is the safest because his role is not going to change unless Landry really takes and diminishes Duke.
That's what I'm worried about.
I don't think they re-sign him.
I don't think it makes sense because I think Jarvis does eat into Duke's target share by quite a bit. And how much was that contract? I didn't even see the contract they gave Duke.
Was it 3 for 15? I think.
The fact that we're interested in re-signing him tells me that they have two different roles. Yeah. I mean, Landry's already said that this quarterback class is completely different. There's entirely a potential that Landry's ADOT goes way up, getting away from Tannehill.
I agree too.
And we've classified him as a player with Tannehill, but when he goes to the Browns, Haley might have completely different plans for him.
Yeah, he was not the same. He was not that player in college either. He was not the just around the line of scrimmage guy in college.
I mean, Haley's got Antonio. I know this is heavy, but he's got Antonio Brown. I mean, similar in regards to size, I suppose. Not a whole lot of No, I think the metrics might even land out a little bit too. But
AB was not a metric guy.
No, yeah, his metrics were not great. That'd be interesting.
I think Landry is a buy low, though.
I mean, really, like we've talked so much about all these Browns players, and it's just becoming overwhelming. And I think we just need to plant a flag on Mayfield if you like the dude. Really.
In general, I was going to post this on Twitter, but I couldn't find a good way to word it. If the Browns had an ADP attached to them, it's too high.
That's fair. I feel like their stock, like everybody's stock, and I think it's one of the things we talked about a few weeks back.
There's a bunch of guys in the top 100 of ADP, and it's awkward.
Yeah, everybody can't be relevant.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah. So AB and Landry, they kind of check out as far as metrics go and size comparison. Landry's a little beefier, but
quick ADP update. Nick Chubb, running back 18. We've got Duke Johnson, running back 34. Carlos Hyde at running back 37 for June ADP DLF.
So give me Duke and Hyde at the price.
Man, that just feels. Oh man. 18
and I mean, if anyone's been listening to the show like this past hour, I mean, Kev's kind of preached this idea of like, I want these guys now that are going to produce now, and I'm just going to trade those future picks for these guys that are going to produce now. Like, I can get Chubb next year when he's the same price as what Hyde is this year, kind of thing. That kind of anticipation.
So let me ask whoever's on this. Maybe Jake and Russ, if you guys are Chubb fans, what's going to happen if Hyde does well, stays on the team? Will you then get deflated on Chubb?
No.
You just power through?
You have to at that point. What are you going to do? You're not going to sell him.
No, the combine determined for me how high I was going to be on him, and that is irrational. Plus his college production, I just can't fade him. I cannot do it.
And they drafted him almost in the first round.
High second round. I mean, he's got everything I look for in a running back. So situation be damned, I'm going down with that ship.
Carlos Hyde feels like the 2018 version of Latavius Murray.
Stop. Okay. Stop.
As far as situations, the Vikings
situational maybe, but like not the same player at all.
I'm not saying the same player. I'm saying the same situation. The Vikings signed Latavius to a decent contract. I think it was 3 years, $5 million per year, similar to what Carlos Hyde got. It seemed like it was an insurance bet. Both of them took running backs in the second round that they didn't know that they were going to take those running backs there. I don't think they have a whole lot of attachment to Carlos Hyde, just like the Vikings did with Latavius. And then this year, Latavius took a huge pay decrease just to stick around, to be the backup.
And Jerick McKinnon comping to Duke Johnson situationally.
Sure.
Because we know Jerick over Saquon, but
you told me no hot takes.
You just have to warn us first, is what it is.
Oh,
okay. Russ, I was.
Can I do a Jerick over Saquon for anyone just in 2018? Does I'll like just for like anyone want to do that?
Open bar bet.
I'll take the bet if I get Saquon.
No, I'll take Jerick.
Oh, perfect. Yeah,
for 2018. Yeah.
Ooh, 2018.
You're not giving him any odds. Straight up.
No,
straight up.
That's my boy.
$2018.
Let's get spicy.
Why not?
Yeah, we're losing viewers trying to spice it up a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, PPR.
You guys want 13 or 14 games played? What do you want?
Yeah, I want all the games that Jerick plays in on the I want all the games that Jerick and Saquon play for the 49ers. That's what I want.
I'm all in it.
What? Oh,
let's go.
These are one of those takes that I used to joke on Twitter a lot that people would make where like they would say, "Oh, Janice is going to be a wide receiver 1." And we would laugh at the time, but then if it ever happened, they would come back and say, "Wow, look at the call I made." We all just passed, right? So like Jerick McKinnon over Barkley, we laugh at it now. But then if it actually happens, Gabe can come back and say, "See, I told you."
Okay, that's not what I'll do.
Yes, you will. You'll probably make a great rapper.
Since it's steak,
that'll become your intro.
He'll actually spit 8 bars about it.
That'll be the new intro.
So 100% correct.
It'll be the new intro for the. It's actually going to be the new intro.
The ball to J Mike.
It's actually going to be the new intro for your pod, Kevin. Is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh,
somebody's pod.
Real quick, Andrew Luck. Are we? What are we doing with Andrew at this point? And full stop. I'm out. I'm done with Andrew Luck. I'm sorry.
I don't buy high quarterback anyway.
Was he throwing like a high school sized football anyways?
Nope. He's throwing 8 high C cartons actually. Like empty jugs of high C. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, in a serious sense, when he throws whatever he throws, it's about the pain he feels afterwards. So we probably won't. The real news doesn't come until week 2, whatever that time frame is. How he feels after he's thrown it and what that progression looks like. Personally, I never buy into Luck anyway. He's just always been an overpriced quarterback, and I know Russ is going to cringe at that. He loves his high-priced quarterbacks, but for me, it's all about Hilton. Can I stay with Hilton, or should I be really looking to move him right now? And if Luck is more progressing, I'm gaining confidence in Hilton. If he starts going down, I'm losing confidence in Hilton.
So that's exactly how I'm looking at this as well. Like, okay, should I be buying Hilton right now? And
if Luck plays,
seeing him throw footballs today, it's not as much a Luck thing as it is at 1,200 yards this year. If Luck a full season, so that's where it's like. Hilton's 28 now. If we waste another, prime season of his, and then we're getting into 29, 30 range and situations. We can get 28 Hilton, the Luck, like a 4th, 5th, and like, in Dynasty now, but I'm definitely thinking about buying some Hilton now. That's my take.
Yeah. I mean, I tried.
That's it.
In Kitchen Sink, I tried to trade Hilton straight up for Devontae Freeman, and I got rejected because people don't know about Hilton. But I might actually like how that pans out. And I love Freeman. I mean, Hilton's 275. I mean, he can hit 275 PPR if Luck plays 16.
I just sold Hilton in the league.
Is that the one where you got Thielen?
I got Thielen. I gave up Hilton. Oh, my team is pretty good, and I think the depth is okay. So I gave up Hilton and the guy that I didn't want to give up, but I gave up Cohen for Adam Thielen.
That's not bad. Seeing this kind of a larger topic, but I don't believe that's actually selling Hilton. So I think that's just trading Hilton.
Oh yeah. If it was, and again, I would never argue that I won that trade, but Adam Thielen is also my wide receiver 10 in Dynasty, which I think that's as high as I've heard anybody have him. So yeah, I was buying on my ranking, and it was my preference. Hilton or Thielen's going to be my wide receiver 2 or 3, and I just didn't want the question mark with Hilton.
Yeah, that's totally valid.
Again, June ADP, Thielen wide receiver 17.
You came up one spot.
Yeah, T.Y. Hilton wide receiver 18.
Mm-hmm. They were swapped, I think, last month.
Super interesting. So with Gabe, I don't know if you weighed in on this at all, but when it comes to Andrew Luck, is this just a thing where we just continue to hold on until it's a case where, you know what, they said that he's just never going to play again, or we just see that he's absolute trash on the field? Like, what becomes the last straw? Like, when is it like, you know what, okay, I'm done here?
I think it's going to be interesting year. The buy window is obviously closed as of late because he threw whatever he threw, the high C cartons, packages, whatever he said. That's good. And I think we'll see him struggle in preseason if they play him at all in that. I doubt it. And then in the NFL regular season, I think he'll struggle there. So I think for now that buying window has closed, but I think it will open again when we probably, I would imagine, I mean, dude hasn't thrown a football in nearly 2 years. Yeah, nearly 2 years. So it's hard to come off of that. And yes, he's done it all of his life. Yes, he's the number 1 overall pick and very talented. I just think that
he's ripped.
He's a pretty strong guy. He might be a Scorpio.
Stingers up, hey.
Stingers up. I don't know. It's just, aside from fantasy, just as a player, I think he's going to be fine. But I think that this year will be a year where people are still scared, at least halfway through the year.
Is anybody buying Luck right now?
But I would love to get T.Y. Hilton.
In a super flex league, is anybody buying?
Nope.
Luck?
I would, but his price is still high.
Peter is.
I don't think people have come in.
It didn't waver all that much, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have gotten him for pretty affordable, and I chose not to, but
Peter in the chat.
What's he at Jared Goff price? Is that right, J Mike?
Who's that?
That sounds about right.
For Andrew Luck?
He's the top end of the top 10.
End of the QB1s there.
QB1 for Dynasty, I think.
We've got Jared Goff checking in at quarterback 9 in June ADP, and Andrew Luck QB 10.
Okay, if I can sell Jared Goff for Andrew Luck, let me do that. But I honestly don't mind hanging on to like the Kirk Cousins, other guys in that
Cam
range. Newton. I'd rather probably have Cam. That's fine with me.
Oh, easy.
I'd sell Garoppolo for Andrew Luck plus, because Garoppolo's like going through the stairway to heaven.
Stairway to heaven. His value is insane.
I don't get that.
Insane. What was his DLF ADP? Was it quarterback 6 or something?
QB 5.
That's disgusting. That's disgusting.
Cinco.
7 touchdowns in his last 5 games, and he's quarterback 5.
That's in front of Cam, just to give you everyone.
That's disgusting. Cam is the most underrated player in the NFL in fantasy.
That's probably fair. What about Luck versus the Mariota Winston combo?
Are we Are we talking about Jimmy G? Jimmy G, right?
We were, yes. Welcome back to the conversation, Russ.
Let me step in here.
Hey, Russ.
Did I hear some Jimmy G slander?
Is that who you were talking about at QB5 or whatever?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I was doing a lot of basketball this offseason, and people were taking him in the 5th round
of best ball.
We've got robot Russ Clay.
Yeah.
Oh my
We're
God.
gonna make J Mike go over the edge here.
I've had to dial it back since the Nate Hamilton
4th, 5th round.
Let's move on to 3 conversations, and then Russ is still going to be talking about one, and then he'll catch up.
Yeah,
choice of chip, Doritos, Cheetos.
Russ is going to be in Arizona by the time
He gone.
Robot Russ was so slow.
Tucson, Arizona. Giddy up.
Is this the real Russ or is this robot Russ? What we
He's
got?
back.
Is it real, Russ?
Hey, my Stinger brother's back. Yeah.
So you're saying about Rosen?
Yes, Rose.
Wait, we were moving on to Rosen already?
I'm not even a part of this conversation.
Pretty sure that's what Robot Russ said was something
Yeah.
about Rosen.
I didn't hear anything about Rosen.
Robot Rosen.
I was talking about best ball leagues where Jimmy G was going in the 5th round of best ball leagues.
That's so disgusting. And you can get Jameis in like the 12th, 13th round.
Yeah, exactly. So
Makes
I
zero
didn't,
sense.
that hype train was quick to start for sure.
Marquise Goodwin.
I don't think any player is being more overvalued in Dynasty or redraft than Jimmy G.
Well, hold on, because on this, I mean, you might be right. No, you might be right. I just want to throw it out there. If you're looking at again ADP, the big homie Patrick Mahomes is currently QB8.
I can take that because his ceiling is so high.
All I'm saying is we haven't seen it.
Look at his targets, though.
No.
The dude is a monster.
Jake, Sammy Watkins, truth or anonymous status, like I'm here for that. Okay, I understand it. All I'm saying is we haven't seen it.
I don't care because Patrick Mahomes has QB1, the QB1 type of upside.
Woo! You won't put
G, I don't.
You won't put your name on that. You won't put your name on that take.
Sure, I will. He has type the QB1 type upside. I think
kidding.
he does.
I know. I'm messing with
especially with those weapons.
Where?
What's the bet though?
Let's get crazy.
Mahomes,
let's get crazy.
Mahomes versus Jimmy.
Oh, give me Mahomes.
No. Let's get crazy. Would you say that since he's currently going at QB8, would you say that he finishes top 8 in 2018?
Doubtful.
Okay.
Exposed.
Listen, this is no. I don't think it's exposed. Listen, this is basically his rookie season.
Fact.
But you also paying for some potential, and he's got youth on his side. And listen, if we're looking at supporting cast, look at 49ers supporting cast compared to the Kansas City Chiefs supporting cast.
No doubt.
You mean Patrick Mahomes in a vacuum over Jimmy G straight up.
Yeah. Make the bet then.
I want to see
great weapons around him, Jake.
I'll bet it.
I wanted to see you give me the top 8. And you said doubtful. So no,
I mean, I would say it's certainly possible. I would say it's probably doubtful for his first year.
Like you said, that Chiefs are, man, golly, that offense looks so much fun. And remember last season, Jake, we were I will never forget this, the pod that we had where we were super excited about the Rams. Like, hey, what could the Rams be? Like, what could they be? Like, it could be awesome. And I remember
then
getting
they decided to just play Sammy out of the X every single snap. Yeah. At least they're going to move him around and like utilize his skill set this year, I hope.
That's true. Who's the so Russell and Kevin, I'm especially excited to kind of hear what you have to say about this. We have these offenses that I feel like everybody's projecting to take steps forward. Your Chicago's, your Kansas City's, so on and so forth. Who's either the offense or the player that was just an afterthought last season that we're going to be like, oh yeah, they've got the juice, like they've got the glow, Bruce Leroy glow.
So I have, am I Robot Russ or regular Russ?
Regular Russ, I love it.
As of now,
you're doing great.
All right,
You're KG Russ right now.
So I don't
moved ahead of Rachel from Friends on my list.
Oh, am I back?
You're good.
Very good.
All right. I think Kevin White is going to take a lot of snaps and be terrible, but he's going to block Anthony Miller in his rookie season, and we're just
Mike hates you right now.
And we're just going to be sitting here by like week 5 watching Kevin White go catch 4 of 10 targets for 30 yards, and Anthony Miller's going to be sitting on the sideline, and we're just going to be like, oh my God, why is this happening? So that's what I think the Bears, they have a nice setup, but man, I don't know. They got a tough division.
I do think the Bears are a bit overshot. We're all looking forward to whatever happens from them, but like Trubisky didn't get to let loose much, and maybe Nagy will let him do that. Am I frozen?
Nope.
Oh, thank goodness. I was so scared. I became a Russell for a second.
Captivated.
That's my worst fear.
No! Can Russell become an adjective now?
Yes.
Just got rustled.
Yeah.
Robot Russ.
He became
Dude,
Russell.
stop rustling.
Yeah. Alliteration is on point.
Back.
I think there are Allen Robinson, new wide receiver coming in off of an injury. I mean, those two things don't really add up well. And what's around him, not a lot of talent there either. Trey Burton switching teams, and I mean, Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen are really like the stable of that team that we can count on, and I don't even think that's a whole lot to depend on. So I think there are high expectations for the Bears, and I'm not on that.
What is Trubisky's ADP this month?
I'm so glad you asked, Jake. Trubisky's ADP is currently quarterback 18. That puts him behind Matt Ryan and Drew Brees, puts him directly ahead of Baker Mayfield, Dak Prescott. Wow.
I think that's
Really?
man, how far Dak has fell this season. Isn't that
I don't
crazy?
really understand that much Dak hate.
Wow.
Not that much, but the offense is highly.
I will take
suspicious
Baker and Dak and Derek Carr and probably Ben Roethlisberger and Rosen and Phillip Rivers and Sam Darnold. No. Okay. Well, that one's close with Trubisky right there. All those 6 guys above him.
As much hype as this Chicago offense is getting, and we've seen how far Patrick Mahomes has flown up ADP. I don't think that's crazy for Trubisky. I think that's probably on his higher end, but I don't think that's crazy for a quarterback.
I agree with you. I'm surprised that it was 18. Honestly,
I thought it'd be higher. I thought it'd be like 15.
I figured it'd be somewhere around 12 to 15. So I think that's a reasonable expectation to be around 18.
Is the Bears offense the equivalent to Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yes. Good, but not that good. And they have to play the Vikings, and they're going to be competing with the Vikings and the Packers. Packers added some nice defensive players in the draft, and they'll probably be better. So I don't know. Could be a tough year.
So who are we buying? Because I feel like Russell, you started. It was like, oh yeah, the Bears could be fine. Actually, no, I'm gonna poop on them.
I'm saying, like, I just think Kevin White is going to get more snaps than people are going to want because he's healthy and they picked him in the first round. So he's like going to be out there.
That's fair.
And it's going to piss all the Anthony Miller owners off big time. And I don't think Trey Burton is that good. Like, I think he's getting.
He didn't deserve $8 million a year for what he's done.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not buying that either.
Keep going, Russ. Keep going.
I'm curious about the Trey Burton thing. Let's talk about Trey Burton a little bit more. Okay, great. Moving on.
I don't understand. Like, they drafted Adam Shaheen really high last year, and people. I mean, he's going like undrafted in dynasty leagues now. Like, people have totally, and that's fine with me if you don't like him, but to think he's not going to have a role on the team seems a little silly to me.
High second round.
Okay, but
So I think
but as far as tight ends, we all know this for projecting tight ends. We can't really expect much for 3 years and beyond. And even Shaheen, we were saying he was pretty raw last year. And so, I mean, I still think he's going to take a couple years to develop, and probably part of the reason why that signing happened with Burton.
So I guess they're just going to have 2 tight end sets a lot, or are they just not going to play Burton or not going to play Shaheen? That's
well,
I could see a lot of 2 tight end sets.
I think Shaheen's going to be I think Shaheen could even be the starting tight end in line. And I think that even though I think Anthony Miller is better suited out of the slot, I think they could be moving Trey Burton into an Evan Ingram slot type of weapon. And then I would think that they would play Anthony Miller out wide, but maybe they play Kevin Wood out wide. And, Anthony Miller is sitting there as the wide receiver 3 that's getting out snapped by Trey Burton.
Do we know about the Chiefs, kind of how they set up last year? Because we know Nagy was the OC there, and Kelsey obviously did his thing there last year, and so we can probably just assume that Trey Burton is Travis Kelsey. But did they run in a lot of 2 tight end sets last year? Does anyone know that information?
I don't know off the top.
Or just kind of what type of offense that they did run?
Does that mean Trey Burton's going to get handoffs like they gave Kelsey?
Right, yeah.
Like, what are you doing? I don't know. I don't have those numbers in front of me.
Me neither.
It's just a lot of players to project, and I'm a little afraid of that,
I think I'm more afraid of A-Rob for this season.
I was going to say, what about Allen Robinson? What do we think about that?
I like the player, but again, you nailed it, Gabe. New team plus coming off a major knee injury. That seems like he's not going to live up to his ADP for this season, especially in redraft.
I'm certainly worried about this year. Yeah. And I do know a little bit about a wide receiver going to a new team. That first year doesn't work out all that well. And really just in general doesn't work out that well. So, and then to come off an injury and just even as a player, do we trust Allen Robinson? He had his great season, and then he kind of fluked out and then had his injury year. So what have we seen enough to value him as this top 30, 40 asset? I don't know.
Well, J Mike, what's his ADP right now for June? Allen Robinson.
June ADP, Allen Robinson. You have any guesses before I tell you?
Wide receiver 12.
Wide receiver.
I'd say he's around 30, 32.
No.
Wide receiver?
No. I meant overall.
Oh.
Yeah, he's currently wide receiver 13. Sandwiched by Steph Diggs and Corey Davis. And in terms of overall, Allen Robinson is 25 overall.
Oh, okay.
Have you guys given up on Jonnu?
Honestly.
Thinking about tight ends, Jonnu Smith and Delaney. What are you doing with that whole thing?
I love the Jonnu
Smith. I think you just continue to buy Delaney at a discount if you're contending.
I feel like
Jonnu Smith is really cheap.
Overhyped.
What's that?
That offense has been overhyped. I don't know that I want any of them. I mean, we expect Mariota to make this big Russell Wilson leap, but I'm not sure it's coming.
We want it though. We definitely.
I want it. Yeah,
we definitely want it.
You're right. I mean,
looking at the Titans, they ran 974 plays, which was 29th in the league, just over 5,000 yards.
Well, the hope there is Matt LaFleur is one of those offensive coordinators that has a lot of steam and a lot of hype, and he's supposed to be one of the best offensive minds out there, that he rejuvenates that offense in a similar fashion that we expect Matt Nagy to do for the Bears. I think that's kind of the hope there, but who knows if that comes to fruition.
I feel like we need that though. Like the game needs, like, I feel like to some degree,
good play calling? Good play calling helps.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's that. There's definitely that. Not having really good players have their growth stunted would be awesome. Russ, to go back to you, I don't think you give on Jonnu at this point, considering that they're ushering in this entire brand new offense. I think that what you were talking about, just in terms of his this year prospects, I think they're probably still muted. Delaney's like the ageless wonder, and he's kind of a freak of a physical person, I think. I just remember seeing him in person one time, and it was kind of scary just how rocked up he was. Like it was kind of crazy. But I don't know, what are you doing with Jonnu?
Holding, but just looking at projections, it feels like Delaney's going to sit in that 600, 700 yard range. And I feel like him and Gerald Everett are in very similar situations where they're like maybe a year away.
That's a good parallel.
From real, game plan targets every week. So I'm kind of hoping I see some signs this year, like maybe a few 5-6 target games. And then that's really all I want. But I don't know. Maybe he plays a role.
Delaney Walker is not young.
No, he's not. He's 34, 35.
Certainly an outlier as far as tight end longevity. I mean,
yeah,
Witten is like, we were all kind of surprised, I think, that he retired and probably the oldest tight end to play the game on planet Earth. But Delaney's certainly up there as well. So it's kind of surprising that he's still kind of chugging. And I love the Jonnu buy because he's super, super cheap. Unless you don't believe in the offense, which I understand too.
What were we saying, Jake?
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna take a hard left turn. Can we talk SFB for a second?
Yes.
What is that?
Scott Fishbowl. So I know invites galore have gone out, and I'm pretty confident all 4 of you guys are in it. Is that correct?
I'm in it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Present. All 5 of us are in it.
Yeah. So
you
this
got
is
your
my
invite.
Yeah. I'm excited. I got an invite this year.
Nice.
This is my So just finished my first year of Dynasty. Now I get to do my first Scott Fishbowl. I'm gonna be honest. I'm super intimidated right now. Like I have an idea of what I got into because I got to laugh and joke about you guys last year and your teams and whatnot. But right now I'm feeling a little intimidated. Like I just don't. I don't know. What are do's and don'ts for Scott Fish Bowl? That is. Shout out to Scott Fish. Super awesome guy.
Don't try to recreate the wheel. Don't try to come up with some crazy strategy that's going to beat everyone. And you know what I mean? I always see those pop up every year.
The RotoViz strategy?
Yeah, don't start with 4 tight ends. Don't do that. I think it's pretty much BPA because the scoring's so even that you can win with pretty much any position. So,
do we know the scoring this year?
There's definitely.
I know he was talking about like wide receiver, tight end.
No mandatory tight end.
Okay.
Same tight end.
Oh wow.
And then interceptions are -4. So that brings some fluctuation to the quarterbacks there.
Never Josh Allen.
I think it's still the point per first down. I think it's similar to last
First
year.
downs keeping up. Yeah.
Similar to last year, except quarterbacks get -4 for interceptions, and there's no mandatory tight end. I want to say off the top of my head. I'd have to look deeper.
It looks like it still has tight end premium to some degree, though, because they get an extra half point per first down.
It's the same tight end scoring from last year. There's just no mandatory tight end.
Gotcha.
So my big advice is that you're looking at this hulking mass of craziness, and everyone else is too. So it's like we're all kind of like,
right.
We're all so lucky to get DJ at number 1 last year, and it worked out so well for me.
Yep.
I've always joked that the whole idea is that it's a Willy Wonka thing, that he just wants to screw with everyone's head. So there's all this debate about which way is the right way to go. And he's laughing, thinking, they all can be the right way.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just this, it really is a Willy Wonka.
Well, you saw last year, like no one drafting wide receivers. That was the strategy last year. Yeah. And I think there were a ton of really good wide receivers in the top 50 last year. And
Keenan Allen and DeAndre Hopkins were two guys that surged. I mean, you could get those guys in the 4th, 5th round of SFB, and they're easily going to be 1st or 2nd round picks this year. Yeah. So, I mean, I drafted Zeke before suspension. Andrew Luck didn't play a game. Carson Palmer didn't play a lot of games. Phillip Rivers played enough games for me. Quincy Enunwa, Kenneth Dixon. I mean, no, I looked very depleted, but no, still ended up top. I don't know, playoffs, whatever, however that worked, top 2 or 3 in our division. But so I'm saying that the waiver wire is important. That's what I'm saying, because I probably swooped in on some Jacoby Brissett and rode him for a little bit, and whoever else in between the lines. But I don't even remember actually what it was. It was a struggle week to week to find guys that could produce. That's for sure.
That's like the golden sombrero of drafting. Like what you did, that was rough.
I was very surprised how many things happened day after day, week after week. It's like, yeah, okay. So this was a great first year of SFB.
I drafted in the 5th round. I was really up in the air between Carson Wentz and Eli Manning, and I took Eli Manning. And my gut said Carson Wentz, and I got talked into from some buddies.
And that's why you're only the executive producer of
that
the
is correct. I'll never be a host of this show. Jake, you can come on sometime.
All right. Anyhow, that's all I've got. Yeah, I think it might be time to say goodbye, Gabe. Sadly,
get out of town. Okay, sounds good to me. I mean, we did tell Kev we were going to go to 2 a.m. So
we did. You're right.
Hey, well, there is an after show,
right? Always the open bar after show. We don't talk about the website that's on, but it is available. Look for the link. All right. This was great. I am so happy to be back, J Mike. It's been lovely.
And we had such fantastic guests this week. I cannot.
Really good.
I'll say my piece here in a minute, but go ahead. Yes.
Sorry, all right. Well, I'm going to let the guests have their piece, really. So we'll start with Russ Russell, the robot, the getting played.
Anything is possible.
I was sad as a robot. You know, it's a soulless life out there as a robot. You know.
Yeah.
You just there's not much happiness, but it was really fun, guys. I liked the the format. It was pretty free flowing and fun. And I met my soulmate, so things are pretty good in the podcasting world.
Things are looking up, yeah.
Yeah.
And the good news is that J Mike does know what a duvet is.
What, can we reveal
Duval
this to me?
duvet.
Yeah, please do not blow an Achilles tendon on a duvet. It doesn't happen. Real quick, Russell, I know that obviously formerly of several websites. Are you currently, where can we find your work, or what are you doing, or you just living life, moving to in the country?
When does the Scorpio podcast drop?
Garage band professional?
Yeah. No, I'm actually taking a break from actual content. I've sort of been on that grind for quite a few years and taking some time off, moving across the country. So, yeah.
See, Russ, you got it all wrong. You write for a site called twitter.com.
Fact.
True. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can follow me at Russell J. Clay. That's pretty much all my content currently. And I'll, throw some stats in your face.
But wait a minute. You're moving?
I'm moving.
Where?
Tucson.
Giddy up.
All right. Stop the show. Pause. You're going to be out of Beantown,
Kev,
bro?
we can't do that.
You're out of Beantown, bro?
Unless I fly back.
Jesus.
I know.
You just wrecked Kevin's world.
Ruined my night, man. Last 5 minutes of the show. I'm ready to close the laptop.
No.
Cool people and I started a redraft Twitter league of Massachusetts people. Yes. So we actually live face-to-face draft.
That's awesome.
Russell was in it. Pat Thornton, Joey. It's awesome. Rhoda Bond, a bunch of people that are, you guys would all recognize on Twitter. I wanted to make an in real life Twitter league. So we got together and all drafted. It was pretty fun. Russ was in it. So now he's just informing me that he's leaving.
Yeah, I think you're out of the league now, Russ. Sorry.
Yeah,
you should not have said that.
I said you're out.
No Skype.
We have an orphan to announce.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a redraft.
I was like 1-12 in that league. Anyway.
I was just about to say who won.
not me. I came in like
Kevin, that's why he's moving.
Yeah,
you shamed him onto the stage. Well done.
It's pretty fun having all these dynasty guys in there drafting rookies.
Yeah. I drafted Patrick Mahomes, I'm pretty sure.
I think it's tight end with Shaheen.
That's good. That's too good.
Oh boy. Well, I think Kev, you've probably said enough that you've said your piece, right?
Yeah. No, obviously find me on Twitter, _FF_engineer. Really fun guys. Thanks for having me on. I'd come back every week. This is awesome.
Wow. Executive producer role is your job, Kevin.
Yeah, you better
you're in, I'm out.
Choose your words carefully because you might be.
They've been looking to fulfill that role for a while now.
whether we asked or not.
I just show up.
I can do head of agenda.
Okay,
I'll take over that role. It's
we
like
have positions available at the open bar. So if you are interested, please at us.
Inquire within.
Yeah. No, but Kev, you just re-upped your podcast, right?
Yep.
How long ago did you start that, and what is it? Tell us.
So Fantasy Football Engineering, iTunes, you can find it everywhere. Just follow me on Twitter, and there's links there. I think I started back up last month, 4 or 5 episodes ago. Just recorded with Evan Silver last night. I got Matt Harmon the week before. Cynthia Freeland was an awesome interview. NFL Network. She was great doing analytics work. And then before that.
Did you name someone we've heard of?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty Pretty big list.
I had Russell on. You've heard of him.
Robot Russell?
We don't talk about Russell on this pod.
Yeah.
We don't talk about Tucson.
No, it's been really great. I enjoyed doing the podcasting a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to see it back in full effect and ready to see it grow throughout the. I mean, though you've already grown with the Harmons, the Silvas. That's great. So
to be honest, I think the only way to grow it would be to replace myself as a interview.
That would be no. See, now you're going in the wrong direction, Kevin.
You are the weakest link.
You'd have to hey Sig, can you take over my podcast? I want to make an improvement.
Maybe you could executive produce your own podcast. Oh wait.
Yeah.
Speaking of those, Jake, what's up, dude?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Yeah, thanks for having me on. Kevin, awesome to talk with you. You've been super helpful for me in my Twitter dynasty life, somewhat of a mentor for me. He's been super awesome. And Russell, awesome to talk to you, man. Been following you for a long time. And then, yeah, if you want to follow the new podcast, where our Twitter handle is Dino Crossroads with my host, Peter Howard. Feel free to give us a follow there. If you want to give us a rate and review on iTunes, that's always appreciated. We'll drop probably Wednesday or Thursday mornings. We're going to record episode 4 tomorrow night. So looking forward to that. And then SFB 8 is coming up very quickly. Myself and Clint, DHH Pastor, are going to make SFB avatars for everybody included in that to raise some money for Fantasy Cares. Our handle there is SFB_Aviamakers. You can check us out there or DM us individually. We're going to charge $5 for a SFB character division avatar team logo for MFL. So cool. Just to produce some more money to Fantasy Cares and Toys for Tots. So those are the links. I'm at NFL Draft Talker, and always a pleasure to be on the open bar.
Where are we at on Fantasy Cares? 16, just over 16,000.
We're above where we were last year, right?
So cool. We're not hasn't even started. I know that it probably slows down the moment it starts, but so cool. Go get some shirts. I ordered a shirt.
Oh, that too.
Blue or red?
Some shirts.
Blue.
I did blue. Navy. Yeah, I went Navy.
Navy is always a choice.
Could not. Yeah. Navy for me. And you only have until the 17th or something along those lines. Yeah. Jake, happy to have you as always, my man. J Mike.
I feel like I have a lot to cover, so hope I don't put a lot of you guys to sleep with what I'm about to go through. So there's that. To our guests, thank you guys so much for coming and joining us. Russell, I've admired a lot of what you've done from afar, and again, I've only been doing Dynasty for about a year, so I see things and I don't say much, but I see a lot of what goes on, and you are hilarious, first of all. But again, thanks for coming on with us. I'm gonna take a quick trip down memory lane. So it's July 12th, 2017, and I'm listening to the Fantasy Football Engineering podcast, and he has, I think, Ken Moody on. I'm pretty sure. Is he the one that's at DL Football or DLF Football?
Eric Dickens.
Oh, excuse me, Eric Dickens. Yes, sorry. And so I'm listening to the episode, and I'm just like, man, they're just so encouraging. Like, man, you guys go out and get it. Like, if it's something that you really want, go for it. Blah blah. And I quote this tweet that I did on that day. I said, I'm setting a goal to write or pod for some sort of platform for fantasy by year's end. Thanks for motivation on the pod. And that was, again, July of last year. And shortly thereafter, I get a guest spot on Gabe's now defunct, soon to come back, Grab Bag Fantasy podcast, and had a ton of fun there, and somehow parlayed that into co-hosting this with Gabe, literally not not probably a month after that. And so it was crazy how everything shook down. And I have definitely, Kevin, and I never talked to you about this, so it's really cool to be able to say this to you in person. I guess in person, sort of. But literally, you were the inspiration, the wind beneath my sails, if you will. So, man, I am.
Honey, you cut an onion?
Wait, I hate to interject, but I thought we had something special going. And
no, we.
Scorpio, my ass.
Right out of the way. No.
He's not even born in November.
Your old news, Russ. No, I'm sorry.
That's what it was all about, for real. That when I had Eric on behind the scenes, Eric did some more things for me in Dynasty and writing and things like that. He really helped me, and he's a really people person. He's sociable. He really helps just elevate different people, connecting people, and encourage them to do things that they might think they can't. But in this technology world, you just push it. And if you want to write something, write it, put it down on paper, start a blog. If you want to start a podcast, start a podcast. Fully.
Yep. So that was that. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Humbly submitted.
Great story.
Humbly submitted. Furthermore, Dynasty Crossroads is definitely moving up in terms of podcast one in the queue for me right now. So, Jacob, I am super, super pumped. And I didn't know if you and Peter would take it serious when we were telling you, hey, like, you guys should really do this, because that would be awesome. So I'm super excited that you guys did that.
Really kind of pushed us in that direction to get the pod started. Was that Dynasty Dummies, Dynasty Open Bar, Crossroads.
Peter's a grinder too.
Yeah,
I see at like 2 a.m.
Peter puts
grinding
in so
out
much
tweets.
work.
Yeah, man. I've interacted with him a few times. He's a hard worker, man.
He's a great dude, and it's honestly it's a pleasure and an honor to do a podcast with him, and try not to sound like an idiot compared up to what kind of knowledge that he drops on that podcast. But I think it's a common nomenclature between film and analytics, and ever since Filmetrics left, I think there's been a void there. So I think we're excited to bring that back.
Moving forward, to everyone who's in the open bar eliminator with us, gosh, thank you guys so much. We haven't done the show since that field, Gabe. Can you believe that?
Oh, that was exhausting.
Gabe had some stuff going on. He was traveling and in wedding and doing stuff.
Yeah,
and I was
my team too.
And I was going through it, and our team did not turn out as great as we had hoped, but our quarterbacks look real nice. So there was that. So anyway, all you guys who are with us in the eliminators, thank you guys for joining us. Looking forward to at least hopefully making it to week 5. We'll see how that goes. And on Twitter, you can find my big homie Gabe at FFManBun. You can find me at JMIC Check. That's at JMike Check on Twitter. And the show's handle at the Open Bar FP, as in fake pigskin. So thank you guys for joining us. Everyone who's been in the chat with us, everyone who's checking us out via podcast form. You can get us on Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean. I hear that Google's actually coming out with another podcast catcher soon. A date not to be determined at this point. So that's going to be crazy. Yeah, all sorts of fun. So again, thank you guys. We are so glad to be able to do it. And yeah, back in the saddle. I think we have another show next week, Gabe.
Yeah, sure. We got one next week?
Next week.
Yeah. Okay. I think I've received some DMs as of last hour.
Somebody was sliding all through it. It was crazy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We'll come back next week. That sounds good. Maybe the week after that. But yes, very thankful to be back. It's been so lovely. I miss this Tuesday night with you, J Mike, and 3 other random people, usually Jake, but Jake and 2 other random people. You said the fake pigskin part. They do a subscription service, do their stuff. It's like $5 a month. What else are you going to do with that $5? You know, buy a Eli Manning figurine. I don't know. Just go do that instead. So Thrive Fantasy, we got a link for them. We talked about it before, some prop betting, DFS stuff. It's a party. It's fun. I swung a little bit recently. I didn't fare too well, but it was fun. And so go ahead and check that out. We are the Open Bar. We'll be back next week, Tuesday, 9:30 Eastern. Never late. Fellas, a little cheers. Could we do one of those cheers things where we know I've never done this before in my life, but we usually just put a glass up and we cheers to the camera. Never done that one before, but I thought that would be kind of creative to try that this week for once. I'm just free balling here, and we're gonna see you all next week. Okay, deuces.